Uni graduates paying off their HECS debts are struggling at the moment with higher than usual inflation, causing their debts to increase faster than they can pay them off. While student debts don't attract interest, they're indexed on the 1st of June each year in line with the inflation rate. And this year, that's expected to be almost 5%.
This week, a Senate inquiry rejected a proposal to freeze indexation, although the Prime Minister has acknowledged that something needs to change. For more on this, we are joined by Independent MP Dr Monique Ryan. Dr Monique Ryan, good to have you on Weekend Breakfast this morning. Now, you've started a petition calling on the government to change the way that HECS debts are indexed. What exactly are you proposing in that petition?
The petition that I put up about 36 days ago, which already has an extraordinary more than 260,000 signatures, asked for a very simple and modest change to the HECS system, which is to change indexation so it's the lower of the CPI, Consumer Price Index, or the Wage Price Index. So in that instance, basically, people's wages would keep up with their HECS debt, which is something which has not happened for the last 2 years. There's lots of other changes that the government could institute immediately, which would decrease the burden on the 2.9 million Australians who carry a HECS debt, but that's a very simple and modest place to start.
Yeah, we'll get to some of the other potential changes that could be made in a moment, but the Prime Minister did hint this week that there could be change coming. We've got the federal budget being handed down next month. He said that changes will be made, quote, pretty soon. Have you spoken to the Prime Minister and the Education Minister, Jason Clare, about this?
I've spoken with the Education Minister about this issue on a number of occasions for more than a year now, and he is very much aware of the fact that this HECS debt has become a millstone around the neck of so many Australians. He has indicated that he's aware of it and that there will be changes. The question is what they'll be and how extensive that will be, and that's why I'm asking everyone to sign my petition and get on board, because I think we really do need to keep this front of mind for the government. It's a real issue for many, many Australians.
This is also something that's being called for by that federal government review of higher education, the Universities Accord. As you say, the petition is calling for the simple and modest change of a change to indexation, but what else could be done to help relieve the burden of these debts?
Well, the thing about the HECS debts is that they don't reflect the future earning capacity of Australians, and they're affecting the way that Australians who carry a HECS debt are operating now. So, for one example, the Morrison government doubled the cost of arts and humanities degrees with its Job Ready Graduates program. It didn't want young people to undertake humanities degrees, and the cost of those degrees now is manifestly excessive, and it outweighs the potential earning capacity of graduates from those degrees after they finish them. So we need to take the Job Ready Graduate Scheme off the table and basically go back to a form of HECS which more accurately reflects the earning capacity of tertiary students. But the other changes that we need to make are very, very simple. HECS, the contribution, the indexation of HECS goes to the debt that people owe before their payments for each year are credited to their account, which is crazy. So what people are finding is that they've made off payments during the course of a year, but then when they check their account, their debt has increased rather than decreased. It doesn't happen with other forms of debt, and it shouldn't happen with this form of debt either. The other thing is that could happen is that we've seen that the HECS debt that people carry is being taken into account when they go for car loans or home loans. And so it's actively stopping people from being able to access home loans. We're seeing people putting off families because of their HECS debt. And that is not the aim of the system. There's an unintended consequence of the HECS system that it's now stopping 30 and 40-year-olds in this country from getting home loans and from starting their families. That was not the idea of the system, and we need to rescale things so that the HECS debt, which it's appropriate that young people and other older graduates make a contribution towards the cost of their education, but it shouldn't be stopping a generation, essentially, from embarking upon mature adult life.
And on that measure of future earning capacity, this is particularly pressing for industries where we know there is a worker shortage already. So should we see this particularly be prioritised in certain areas, like, for example, teaching or nursing degrees?
Yeah, so we've got 42% of those career paths that require a bachelor's degree or higher are in active skill shortage in this country now. That's actually doubled in the last 2 years, and we're seeing a smaller number of people go into tertiary studies. The rate of people initiating their studies now has actually fallen. And we've got these critical shortages of teachers, nurses, early childhood educators, pharmacists, skill sets that we really need as a society. And I think we do need to acknowledge that and deal with that and make sure that young people can get into those tertiary studies, can start those degrees, that we can get those graduates coming into the workforce. We have to, rather than having a system which is an active disincentive to them, we have to give them an incentive to start their studies and to then join the workforce in those roles which we really need.
Dr. Monique Ryan, we appreciate you coming on this morning. Thanks so much.
It's a pleasure.